Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do is we're going to start learning how to draw the head for our fashion figure. We're going to learn some basic stuff. No real details today, but just how to do some of your basic shapes of the head. I'm just using a pencil. You don't have to use a mechanical pencil. A regular pencil's fine. You should have a ruler. If you don't have a ruler, you can use any straight edge that you find in your home, the edge of a book, edge of an envelope. And what I suggest today is that you watch my video first, and then you could recap it tomorrow and work on this in class. So I'm going to start with basic shapes. You should be working with white paper. If you don't have plain white paper, computer paper, sketchbook paper, you can always use notebook paper, but I would prefer you find something that doesn't have lines on it. And we're not going to measure anything out, but we do want that straight edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by just making one long line horizontally across my paper. The long way should be horizontal, like you're looking out onto the ocean. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make another line above it, and this is going to be the total size of the head. Now, how big should you make this? Well, you don't have to make it gigantic. If you look at my hand over here, you could say like 2 or 3 fingers is more than fine enough. I don't want you to work really tiny, so don't draw anything really small, but I also don't want you working really big either. So just a couple of inches, doesn't really matter. You don't have to measure it out, but most importantly, you want to make 2 parallel lines. All right, and you do that with your straight edge. Again, you're not measuring anything. 2 parallel lines. This will be the top of the head. This will be the chin. Now, like I said, we're not going to use the ruler to measure, but I want you to get in the habit of being able to sort of approximate. So I want you to kind of guesstimate halfway down over here. You may not be exactly right, but you should be pretty close. You don't want to kind of, you don't have to measure this, but I do want you to be able to kind of guesstimate where halfway is, and then you're going to divide this space in half. And that's really pretty much all we're going to need the ruler for. Again, just straight edges over there. Now, right down the center of this page, we're going to do the first thing we're going to do is going to be freehand, and we want to make one line that goes right down the center of it, just like this. And this is going to be my line of symmetry. I like to draw the line of symmetry in this because this gives me the opportunity to kind of really focus on making each side equal. All right, so this is going to be straight down the middle, and like our face is looking straight at you, down the middle is symmetrical, meaning it's this equal on both sides. You don't have to measure where that is in the paper. Just draw something like that, and you can see my drawing is freehand. It doesn't need to be a perfect line right now. You're going to make those with your ruler this way. Everything else is freehand. Now, this is going to be the very top of the head, so I'm not going to draw over that line, and this is going to be the chin. And we're going to keep things simple at first. We want to make basically the skull, the brain of this figure, this face. So what I want to do for that top part is I want to kind of make a circle that's going to come a little bit down into below halfway on this box. So I made a little mark right over here. And now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to try to draw a circular shape. We can keep it relatively like an oval. It could be a little boxy. And you're not going to know if it's perfect until you put something on the paper. When I have it on the paper, now I can kind of look at it and see, well, I got to kind of fix this up a little bit and try to make it a little bit more symmetrical. And even for me, after all these years, you know, I can't tell if something's perfect on the first shot. What I have to do is kind of put it down on the paper first and then make adjustments. So how do I make those adjustments? I try to look to make sure that these shapes look relatively equal. And again, it doesn't have to be a perfect circle. If it was, I would tell you to trace something. I don't want it to be a perfect circle. I kind of want it to be just more like an oval. And you can see my little oval should be equal in both halves. And this is going to be the top part of the head. Now, this is basically where your eyes are, where your brain is. Probably down here is where your nose is. Now what I want to do is I want to attach a jawline to this. And my chin is going to come all the way to the bottom here. For jaws, listen, everybody's face is a little bit different. But what we want to do again is we want to try to make this thing relatively symmetrical. If it comes down to a point like this, it tends to make the face look a little bit more feminine or a little bit more youthful. more like a younger kid or feminine in the smaller chin. If you want to make this more masculine, you can make the chin or the jawline a little bit wider. So, that doesn't mean that it can't be one or the other anyway, but just know that whatever you do for the jaw, you want to make sure that it's relatively equal on both sides. So you could either make it very, very square and really boxy, or you could make it sort of a little bit thin and coming down into a point. But however you decide to make that jawline, the number one thing that you want to keep in mind is you want to try to make both those parts symmetrical, meaning relatively equal on both sides. You want to kind of be able to visually look for that. So if yours looks lopsided, fix it. Mine looked a little lopsided, I adjusted it and fixed it. And you can see the quality of my line is very sort of sketchy. You don't have to make this really like perfect and everything else like that. You shouldn't draw too dark, but this is going to be the basic, my head looking straight on. Now, right here where that line goes through, that center line, I'm going to add a little bit of an ear. And that's all I'm going to add on this one. I'm not going to sort of add more details to the face. I'm going to spend some time on Friday to start teaching you how to draw the face. But right now, all I want is the ears. And this is basically your first face. And this head is going to be our front pose. So that one right in the middle is going to be the front. On this side, either side of it, I want to start making what's going to be my 3/4 pose. So my 3/4 pose, I want to kind of pick out the same sort of height to make this oval. And this time when I make my oval, I'm going to make it a little bit wider than the first one. So this one was a little skinnier this way. This one is going to be just a little bit fatter, but it's going to fit in the same area. And again, I want to try to make an oval. You're going to notice I didn't put a line down the center on this one. And there's a reason for that, because this is what's going to be called a 3/4 pose. Okay? A 3/4 pose is when you're looking sideways a little bit, but not all the way. It's a more relaxed look to drawing a face, and it's a little easier to draw noses. But you can see I've made my circle here the same sort of depth as the circle here. And this one just looks a little rounder than this one. Now for this 3/4 pose, this line down the center, my symmetry line, since the face is looking to the side a little bit, I'm going to put that line to the side. And just like this one was straight up and down, this one's going to be curved a little bit. All right? And this is going to be my line of symmetry right over here. Now for the jaw, you're going to see whatever side is smaller. Okay, this side is smaller than that side. This side I'm going to kind of go sort of straight down with, just curving it ever so slightly. So this part of this jawline is going to be pretty flat. This side is going to be much curvier. And again, you might want to make it come, if this one's to a small point, this one will also be to a small point. And this is going to be what we consider our 3/4 pose. And this is with the head looking slightly this way. And one of the ways you can show that it's doing that, you see, is that one side is flatter, this center line is smaller here, this side is wider, this part of the jaw is more curved, and what you could do over here is you can add an ear. And again, that ear, we're only going to see one ear on one side. Since the head is turned, we're not going to see the ear on the opposite side. And that's a 3/4 pose. We're going to do one more, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to make another circle. Again, we're going to make it about the same size, but this one is going to be the roundest one of all. So this one we should try to make like a circle as much as possible. Even if it's not a perfect circle, I don't need you guys using a compass or a little template to make circles. I don't need you looking for little things around the house to trace, but skinny, medium-sized, really round, This is going to be our profile, and our profile is going to be our side view. All right, so our side view, we're going to see a lot of the side of the head, a little bit more than the 3/4. We're only going to see one ear, but that'll be in the middle. Since the face is looking this way, I don't see my line of symmetry. It's totally over here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come down relatively straight down, and then what you're going to see is the side of the jaw. And that side of the jaw should go maybe a little bit past halfway over here. And just like we had before, I'm going to draw an ear. And that ear is going to be approximately the same size as the other ones. We're only going to see one of them. And this, again, is where the brain is, where your eyes are going to be, probably where your nose is going to be approximately, and that's going to be your profile. So we did a front, a 3/4, and a profile. I've got about 5 minutes left. I'm going to re-demo that really fast on the opposite side. And again, we have our front. The next one is going to be on this side, just as big, but your circle is going to be a little bit wider than the first circle that you made. Just a little bit wider. And as you see the way I draw mine, they don't have to be perfect circles. It's better that they're not perfect circles. And you're going to have to adjust them and change them and fix them as you're working. So in this case, I might see I messed up one side a little bit. I'll fix it up. And now this one's going to be looking this way. So on this one, I'm going to decide where that line of symmetry is going to be. I'm going to make a rounded little line, knowing that this is the short side, this is the long side. I'm going to create my jaw that goes down like this. And then this side's going to be slightly more curved. And it's not going to go all the way to the end over here. This is going to be my line of symmetry down to the chin. And then I'm going to stick a little ear on this side. That's my 3/4 on the other side. And then I'm going to do my profile. And then again, same thing. This is the biggest circle, the most circular one that I'm making, except it is not necessarily larger, it's just wider. Doesn't need to be a perfect circle, doesn't go above this line. This side of it's going to go straight down almost. Jawline's going to sweep up, not all the way through, a little bit more than halfway through. I'll stick my ear on this. And I've got my profile. This is going to be our first practice. What you're going to do is when you're done with this, we're going to save this because I will go over how to draw facial features. But what you're going to do is you're going to take your phone, you're going to go in, you're going to take a photograph of this, all right, nice and clear directly from above, and then you're going to post this to the assignment that I'm about to give you. This video is going to be uploaded, and I will put the link in our team so you can watch the video at your leisure, and we'll work on it throughout class tomorrow.